Let's talk about Coconteppi. For those of you who do not know, Coconteppi is a primordial who existed before time, same as the lich, golb, as well as the various other ancients that we see throughout the series. Not much is known about this particular primordial simply due to the fact that we really don't see him too much throughout the series. His original introduction was within the Sea of Monsters during the lich's monologue, and we never see him again until Adventure Time Distant Lands within the episode Wizard's City. That being said, let's go ahead and do what we usually do and speculate on his background. He's been around since time immemorial, and we already know that he existed before nothing existed. I also said in a previous video that I personally believe that it's possible that Golb was the one who created the original primordials due to their very chaotic forms. Although it is somewhat unlikely, I also believe that Coconteppi is possibly a scholar of Golb, as during his time as Peppermint Butler, he ultimately showed that he cared very little about the lives of mortals, and even went out of his way to completely destroy his own worshippers, a habit that is shared very closely by a particular antagonist that all of you know. Due to the fact that we have so little information, making up a timeline will be incredibly difficult, but I am up to the challenge. Obviously, we don't know too much about his original life, as most of the Sea of Monsters pretty much just continuously lived in chaos among each other until time actually began. An additional theory of mine is that after time actually began and everything began to settle, there was a continuous war between the factions. Whether or not this was between primordials or new creatures that began after the Big Bang is unknown. However, something definitely happened within this time frame which ultimately destroyed many of the primordials. The reason I believe this is due to the fact that we see many particular ancients within the Citadel. And if you aren't aware, the Citadel is only accessible to creatures who commit some form of cosmic crime, one of which is the destruction of other cosmic beings. This, along with the fact that the vast majority of the primordials are dead, makes me think that there had to be some kind of conflict. However, it doesn't end there. What you need to also factor in is that the lich was actually among their ranks as a primordial. And one thing that we all know is that the primordials were immune to age. They didn't die of natural causes like simple disease or age. Despite this, we know that the lich was reincarnated within a catalyst comet. This means at one point something killed him. This makes me believe that Coconteppi didn't go to Earth out of sheer curiosity, but due to necessity. We know the primordials were being imprisoned and eradicated around this time, so it's possible that he went to a discrete location in order to basically go under the radar. However, due to his presence within the solar system, it's quite possible that he may have some ties to the orgalorg. The reason I mention this briefly is due to the fact that the orgalorg at one point did control the entire known solar system, and considering this would actually include Earth, and this entire area would be his territory. Though considering the evidence of the orgalorg staying clear of Earth, I find this unlikely. He most likely came to Earth far before the orgalorg actually was defeated by Glob or even ruled this particular part of the galaxy. Regardless of his possible connections, he would eventually come to Earth, and many things would occur during his time here. One thing is that he would actually develop a cult following, with many people worshipping him as a god. Despite the creation of this incredibly flawed civilization, some of its members would ultimately revolt. This would result in many splinter groups as well as the full-on destruction of Coconteppi. Those who survived were actually able to hide his body, sealing it away so that no one could ever find it, as well as take advantage of the incredible power that the corpse had. How exactly the rebels ultimately managed to do this in the first place is an absolute mystery, especially considering the raw power that Coconteppi had at his disposal. I know I say this a lot here when I say people are incredibly powerful, but I truly mean it here. Coconteppi is easily one of the most powerful individuals in the entire Adventure Time series. You see, Coconteppi is incredibly powerful simply due to the fact that he is the original source of magic, and possesses it in its most chaotic and original state. Because of this, he has the incredibly powerful ability to cast any spell, with the only limitation being the powers of other beings of equal or greater importance, so beings like Golb or the Lich. Because of this, any ability that you have seen within the show, he is completely capable of doing. A long list of things such as the ability to control dust motes, the ability to create and manipulate shadows and make illusions, as well as growing someone else's hair, fingernails, or parts of their bodies, transform parts of his body into weapons, take on the abilities and forms of any lesser creature. He additionally possesses power over all non-primordial elemental magic, can put people to sleep as well as control their minds, reflect spells and various attacks back on the caster, fly at intense speeds, produce a flame shield that's able to burn away attacks, banish people to other dimensions, strip other creatures of their magical capabilities, the ability to heal other individuals, as well as transforming people into anything that Coconteppi desires. Other abilities that are definitely not off the menu are also magical constructs, invisibility, portals, cat spells, wizard eyes, telekinesis, as well as necromancy, just to name a few. Even Evergreen's crown, with its ability to warp reality and grant wishes, is something that Coconteppi could possibly mimic and do. Not to mention, he is functionally immortal. Even though his original body was destroyed, his consciousness is actually still around, and he has still some influence over the world around him, especially with the blood that is constantly leaking from his heart. And if anyone were to actually consume this, he has complete chance of completely taking over their body and reincarnating himself. However, this only works if they have incredible potential. Otherwise, their body can't handle the sheer amount of magical power and they explode. So that's all the information I have for this particular video. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get to see more of Coconteppi, and we probably won't ever see more of him, despite the fact that he's definitely a very influential figure within the Adventure Time universe. With that being said, be sure to like as well as subscribe, as well as go to all of my other social platforms. If you have a video idea, be sure to comment it below, and if I like the idea, I'll go ahead and cover it. That being said, see you guys in the next one. Bye.